We had some technical difficulties. We're now going to start the tour here, so if you're joining us late, you can catch up, and if not, you can spend some time. Just a second, just step off the sidewalk, right? And we're going to get going right away since we're starting late. Welcome. If you can zip over to anybody else who's on the other ones and let them know this is the actual place that we're going to be, that would be wonderful. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. We are down in Gastown in Vancouver. It is a beautiful day, but we've got to get across the street because they're about to start a bit of a parade walk. So in a few moments, we'll just be crossing the street and starting, but I do want to give you a glimpse. Hey, Pat. Of the kind of an overview of where we're going to be. This is the first building that we're going to be looking at in just a little bit here. And down the street you can see some of the beautiful Flatiron buildings here, some of the architecture that we're going to run into in the Gastown area of Vancouver. The original city center of Vancouver is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait. It's a gorgeous day. It's about 6 degrees Celsius. It's a nice sunny cloudy day, and yeah, you found me again. That's so good. It's a sunny day, and I'm excited about that because it was absolutely supposed to be pouring rain today. So I'm really, really glad that I can be with you. Hello to those who are slowly joining us. Had some technical difficulties as we started, but we are off and running now. So that's a great thing. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad, and hopefully the rest of the gang will catch up to us soon. Well, I want to start at this building, which has actually just changed ownership in just the last little while. It's always been a cafe for the last 10 or 20 years, but originally it was something much more, but they've just changed names. I love the little ice cream neon sign, a kind of a nod to the neon of the past that was so proliferant through Vancouver, and especially in the 60s or so. It was great. And this is the Holland block landmark building. We'll talk about that in a second. But I just want to let you know that Vancouver's Gastown area that we're going to walk through today in this beautiful fall day is originally the original settlement, really, that became the core of Vancouver, British Columbia. It's a National Historical Site now. It's a neighborhood in the northwest section of the downtown east side. It's just a little bit adjacent to downtown Vancouver, but part of the downtown Vancouver kind of cumulative area, as it were. And this is where we're going to spend our time walking today. Really excited about that. So as I mentioned before, this is the Holland building. One of the original buildings here, built in the late 1890s, actually early 90s, 1891, 1892. And it's a great example of Flatiron Victorian masonry buildings that were constructed really to showcase the storefronts. And it was at the bottom here, ground floor, iron columns, actually manufactured by BC Iron Works, of course, and enabled these large front windows, which maximized kind of merchandising at the time and all that kind of space. So that's kind of the first building that I just want to showcase. It's right at the start here as we look down Water Street, this beautiful street here on this autumn day, and these big picture windows here of the Holland block landmark building. It's got kind of a influence of San Francisco coming through on the architectural of those early days in Vancouver. Hope everybody's doing well as you join me. Again, we had a little bit of a challenge with technical stuff today. For some reason, there was a setting that had changed and moved on here on YouTube, and so I had to dig a little to find it. But we're off, we're running, and we're gonna have a great hour or so over the next little bit here, just enjoying our time together. So great to see you guys. Glad you're here. Hope others will join us shortly for our adventure. Well, this is, as I said, yeah, failure to launch kind of, Tina, yes, but we have launched now, so that is great. This is Water Street, and I'll just turn around a little bit to show kind of a bigger picture of the Vancouver area and where exactly we are. As I said, Water Street, right here. Canada Place, up here, the cruise ship terminal is a place that we've been before in the past. The convention center, and up here at the top, the Olympic Plaza with the Olympic Cauldron at it, as well the Christmas market that I did last year is kind of up here. And we just kind of come down. Waterfront Station is the SkyTrain station. Here today, this is also where the cruise ships come. So just down the street, just a little bit, is where we are now here on Water Street as we start, and of course into the historic Gastown area. So that is where we're going to be walking today. Pretty excited about it. Just I love the buildings here from the late 1890s, early 1890s that we're going to be seeing as we walk all the way across. Fall, we're well into it. The leaves are off the tree here, but a beautiful day otherwise in Vancouver's Gastown district. Now, as I said, this is Vancouver's oldest neighborhood. It grew from a single tavern founded by somebody by the name of Johnny Dayton, who was kind of named Gassy Jack was his nickname back in 1867. This Victorian architecture houses a thrifting fashion scene, curated little decor boutiques, one-of-a-kind galleries, and some of the best culinary fare in Vancouver, arguably. And it changes from year to year, of course, but there are some great places to spend your time if you're looking to fill your belly. It's a gathering place for stylish locals. It's an ideal neighborhood to really explore by foot as well. And one of the things I like about it is, the wrought iron, and of course, kind of a pseudo, it used to be a cobblestone road. They've been replaced with more what we would call almost landscaping tiles now. The Woodward store, yeah, Louise, we're going to see that in a little bit. But I love what was at one time the cobblestone ground, and they've kind of done a little bit of a change to it now, but it's very similar that way as we continue on our way. I don't know if you can hear in the background the steam clock just blew, made its note. It must be about a quarter after 11 our time here. Again, just a beautiful, beautiful day. Well, the next building I want to draw your attention to as we wander our way through the area here is the old Hudson Bay Company warehouse. Of course, Hudson's Bay Company was very central in the history and the establishment of much of the infrastructure of Canada across the nation in the 1800s. Of course, it's got some positives with it as it helped establish the place. It has also got a lot of negatives with it. But this is the old warehouse building. There was another one further down the area as well, but this was their main building. It was built in 1894, and originally it was 2 stories, and they added on 2 more. I love the windows on this place. You can see again that Victorian kind of influence on the architecture here. And of course, it's actually called the Hudson House now, with a nod to the old Hudson Bay, even though it's not associated with Hudson Bay anymore. Just a beautiful building. And a lot of these buildings here, of course, have got the brickwork. And brickwork is not something you'll find in Western Canada for the most part, with the exception of some areas of the downtown core in Vancouver like this. If you were in Eastern, or as they call it, Central Canada, around Toronto, Ontario, Ottawa, Ontario, these kind of areas, and to the east, you'll see a lot more of the red brickwork here. Really, you don't see it in Western Canada, with the exception of some of these places like this. I mentioned, it is beautiful buildings, Michelle, I agree. I mentioned to you earlier that there is a very good strong arts district in the area here. And of course, we're just taking a glimpse into a basement art shop of some indigenous art that is on display in some of these little shops. Beautifully curated little shops along the way. Well, welcome to everybody who's joining me. As I said, we had some technical difficulties early on, but it's great to be back with you, be joining you today. Very classic buildings, Robert, indeed. And I'm really glad to be seeing you guys again. I was afraid that it would be pouring rain today and I would be wet, but it has not gone down that way, and that makes me happy. And hopefully that makes you guys happy for me as well. It's great to be back live streaming again. I'm hoping to be doing, I missed you guys too. And it's hopefully going to be doing more and more of these as the time goes on. And now that you found me, yay, to those who are finding me. That's been great. Yeah, the original tour that I started out doing had technical difficulties, but we are back and we are happy to be here with you. Right on. I am going to spin around again as we continue our walk along the way, and we're going to go over across the street now and take a look at the steam clock. By the way, if any of you are into geocaching, which of course is that phenomenal little game you play of hide and go seek using multi-million-dollar satellites all over the world, where people hide little what they call caches in the areas, and you can find them and go out and use an app and you locate them and sign them. There is one here across from the steam clock. It's actually hidden behind the sign for the old Edward Hotel. This was originally one of the old hotels, first hotels here, called the Edward Hotel. And it's actually just hidden behind this sign, but it's an interesting little glimpse at Gastown's past to look at this sign and the original roads that were here. This area, this hotel was built in 1906, and it had an Edwardian commercial kind of a style. And you can see here the arrow pointing to whereabouts we are in the original area between False Creek and English Bay up top. It survived the fire of 1886, which decimated a lot of the Gastown area. It was demolished in 1906 and replaced with this Edward Hotel that is currently here. Let's walk across really quick while the light is in our favor and we don't get hit by this. Oh, we almost got taken out by a garbage truck, you guys. Of course, this is the steam clock. One moment, please. Yeah, the Forest of Stanley Park, indeed. So this is the steam clock. We're going to quickly go across the way here and then take a little look at this beautiful place. Very famous place. Thousands and thousands of pictures taken here on any given week. Yeah, Dan's back on. I'm glad to be with you guys. So good. Well, the steam clock was first built in 1977, which I was surprised about. And you can see it's interesting enough right behind it, talking about old technology and new technology. You can see the Microsoft building logo at the top of the building, right behind it there to the left. Isn't that fun? But originally built in 1977, the steam clock was actually built in a real practical reason to cover a grate that was under the ground there that was letting out steam from the steam system that heated and powered much of the area. And so it was built in 1977, which I assumed it had been built a lot earlier than that. But indeed, 1977 here at the corner of Cambie and Water Streets in Vancouver, this first neighborhood in Vancouver. It was built to cover a steam grate, as I mentioned, part of Vancouver's distributed steam heating system. It was a way to harness steam and as a means to kind of masking the central heating sidewalks vent system that was on all these corners. Otherwise they would have people who would just be laying on them, keeping warm at night. So the clock went up as a practical way to kind of disguise or cover up the steam grate. It displays the time on the four faces, announces every quarter hour a whistle chime, plays Westminster quarters, produces puffs of smoke off the top, of course. It is newer, you're right. I was surprised too. It does have a Marilyn Monroe kind of esque, if you think about those steam grates that it can potentially cover. Now it's not going to go off for another 10 minutes, so we're not going to wait around that long. But it is one of those classic spots here as you come to the area here in Vancouver's Gastown, and just move over. I don't know if some of you are taking screenshots, but there's that Edward Hotel. 1906, and some of the last remaining autumn leaves on trees here that you kind of got a nice shot of as well. So we continue along our way. By the way, if you're asking questions and I'm missing them, please forgive me. They're a little bit harder to track here on YouTube than they were on other apps in the past, but I will do my best if you repeat them to catch those. Few more parting shots. Now, for those of you who joined me on some of my other tours in the area, is there a way to make the picture more clear? Well, unfortunately, Barbara, there's not. This is, I am on 4 bars out of 4 bars, so I'm broadcasting at the highest quality I can on my end. So I'm sorry if it's a little bit messy on your end. Hopefully, it will improve. For those of you who have joined me on my Granville Island tour, you know that we often stop at one of the favorite donut places, which is Lee's Donuts, and get them there. Lee's Donuts has now taken up residence here in this building, which used to be the Starbucks building, which I enjoyed doing after a tour. I'd pop in, and it's the Lee's Donuts place. Unfortunately, it's closed right now, but maybe another time we'll be able to grab some wonderful eats at Lee's Donuts. That would be really, really good. Oh, is it streaming at 720p? Yeah, would make it a little bit blurry from time to time for sure. Well, let's cross the street again and continue down on our stroll along Water Street. Again, if we were here in the evenings, they've got the Christmas lights up now, and those would be lighting up the street. It's not raining. It was raining last night. There was a terrible wind and rainstorm, and we managed. I was expecting, based on the forecast, to have that rain continue today, but it didn't, and so I'm quite happy about that. There's little glimpses all the way along of fun little artwork, and this is one of those spots that has kind of a fun little artwork piece against the wall here. I swear this used to be white with black, but it's now black with white, so maybe I'm confused. But this is actually a little bit of artwork that goes into one of the just into one of the parking lots, actually. But kind of a cool place. Let me spin this around a little bit, because it's kind of a fun little selfie spot to take a picture as well. So Vancouver murals and all. Hey everybody, good to see you. Wonderful. Yeah, you guys can figure out your settings there. It changes from time to time, for sure. Well, we'll continue on our way here, more of that brickwork that we talked about before. And of course, one of the things I love are these lamps, these street lights with the bulbs on them. Now, if we were here in the evening, of course, those would be all lit up. It's a gorgeous glow. Hi, welcome from Germany. So good to have you here. Oh, did it change to 120 and that helped? I'm glad to hear that. Fantastic. Wonderful. This area has definitely taken it on the chin in the last few years, as well as other areas of downtown Vancouver with shops closing. You can see an example of that just across the street with some paper in the window. But these areas often change ownerships throughout the years. On my right is the Vancouver, very famous Vancouver Film School. And for some of you who are history buffs, you'll know that the film school here is one of those places that many famous videographers and filmmakers have gone through. Beautiful day indeed. Now I'm going to run across the street for just a moment, if I can. I want to show you just a little glimpse of the train yards. Originally, this whole area was built, of course, right beside the train yards, because that gave access to people who needed to be coming and going. But it's a nice little courtyard. All through here are little courtyards that are hidden away. So if you ever get the chance to come to downtown Vancouver, to Gastown area, make sure you wander into some of these little courtyards that are just off the main street. So you've got the hustle and the bustle of the main streets, and hustle and bustle of the main streets, and then it breaks out into these beautiful little courtyards and side areas, little bistros, little cafes. Up here is a little place, the Cottage Deli, soup and sandwiches, and it just overlooks the port and the trains of the port. You can see the port in the background there, where and a beautiful blue sky with clouds this morning, and of course, so many influences. Why are there so many influences from San Francisco in Vancouver? You know, San Francisco at the time was very much an up-and-coming established city. Established city that was up and coming and was known for a lot of its architecture work. And so architects who were building and commissioned to build here in Vancouver often were tapped on the shoulder, had already been in that area building, or had been influenced heavily by what was going on in that area. You can see the mountains in the background, their tops covered in clouds. And so I think that's why just to get back to the point, I think that's why we see a lot of that architecture that is similar for the time. All right, let's move back down through our courtyard to the autumn colors, back down onto our main street and continue along. Today, of course, November the 11th, which is Remembrance Day here in Canada. And the street we started on was just being closed for a bit of parade of cars as part of that Remembrance Day celebrations and memorial today. Armistice Day and in England and other places around the world as well today. Remember that, and so just want to make a note of that as we move throughout the downtown core here, that indeed that is occurring today on the 11th, and acknowledging all that means here, especially in Canada, for our freedoms that we have. Here in the fall, it's a much quieter level of traffic, pedestrian traffic. Yes, indeed, Robert. Pedestrian traffic, when we're walking through here in the summertime, it's wall-to-wall people often. And so it's nice to have a little bit quieter type situation. I always like to stop on my tours and acknowledge the Canadian mailboxes. Hi, Marlene. And of course, covered in the postal codes of Canada. And always like to point out some of the ones in the front, the famous ho ho ho, which of course, if you put on, of course, just as a nod towards the fact that Santa Claus is from Canada and the North Pole. And if you write a letter to Santa Claus and label it to him and write ho 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 as a postal code, North Pole, it will go to Santa, and one of his elves will actually write you back. I don't know if you knew that, but fun Canadian fact. There's a beautiful little shot of the leaves here on the ground. That's probably the most picturesque, with the exception of the tow truck, it's probably one of the most picturesque moments we'll have on our tour today. So if you are taking screenshots, that might be one to take. The beautiful autumn leaves. You've got on the left-hand side that very classic light post here from the Gastown area. And of course the Lamplighter public bar there across the way, which is one of the first big public houses for music and drinking here in the area. Not the first, but one of the first. It is quite well known. I had put together a bit of a, last year I never got a chance to do it, nor this year, but I did put it together a little bit of a tour about some of the ghost stories of Granville, of Gastown, and the Lamplighter was definitely one of those. Was definitely one of those spots that I did include, and so sometime I might get the chance to do that. We're just going to walk up Abbott Street just for a moment beside the Lamplighter, just because it looks very autumnish walking up this road. Do you still have leaves there in Ottawa? That's great. Yes, they've where I live in Parksville on Vancouver Island, they're all but gone now. And it was a very different fall here. We didn't really have a beautiful, at least on Vancouver Island, from my perspective, we didn't actually have what I would call a beautiful fall. We didn't have the beautiful colors as much, I think because it got cold quickly and then it warmed up and then it got cold quickly. Couldn't decide what it was doing. And so as a result, a lot of the trees couldn't decide what they were doing, and so we ended up with, you know, just not a beautiful autumn. But here in this spot, it's a little bit of an exception. Some beautiful colors here with the Vancouver buildings behind. We've moved off Water Street now up to Cordova, and the reason I'm moving up to Cordova is because I want to just highlight a building that someone mentioned right off the bat. It was I think it was Laura. The Woolworths building. The Woolworths building, Woolworths was a famous department store in Canada, and the Woolworths building was built here in this location, and you can see just past the police who are blocking off the roads for the Remembrance Day car parade that's going to be going by. You can see the old, that's kind of a neat shot actually there with the bridge across the street and the stoplight with the graffiti on it and everything in the background with the autumn leaves. So the Woolworths building is this building here at the back, what is now a Flatiron style. Again, that San Francisco influence on this Flatiron building. It was built originally in 1903 and was Woolworths right through until 1993. So for about 90 years. And then it was closed down. It went bankrupt. Woolworths went bankrupt. And so it was closed, and eventually in 2002 it was renovated to become apartment complexes, and it opened again in 2007, if I'm not mistaken, 2010. But what I want to show you is the Woolworths sign. Now, the original Woolworths sign was, and you can see it up top there, the big W up top. Yes, some people are wearing t-shirts. It's such, there's gloves and winter clothes, and there's guys in shorts. It's so eclectic here, absolutely. But yeah, there's the Woolworths sign. You can see it spinning up there. And that was famously put up on top of the words escape me now, a re-representation of the Eiffel Tower had been built, and that W was on top of it, on top of the Woolworths building, spinning. And so when it was all taken down in 2002 for the renovations of the original building, Woodward's, people were not happy with that, and they wanted it back up, and so it was rebuilt, it was re-put up, and actually if we went down Cordova another block, we would actually see the original W, which is on display in kind of a little park area, sitting area. So that's, I did want to show you that sign because I think it's kind of an interesting landmark here in the Vancouver area. Hey guys, can I introduce you to my friend? This is Tobias. Toby is from Germany, and as you know, Charlene and I regularly have students who live with us, and so he and I is from Munich, and he is living with us for the year. Yeah. Yeah, and so he's been kind of wandering around in the background. So everybody's saying hello to you. Well, they're saying hi to Suzanne, but they can say hi to Toby as well if you want. Anyway, he's along for the journey with us today. Wonderful. But let's walk back down Abbott to get back down to River where we were before, to Water Street. We'll go past of course, the very exciting Pet Psychic. That would be an interesting tour, actually, wouldn't it? To go into the Pet Psychic store and have them do a psychic reading on my cat. I'll tell you what they'd say, is that your cat doesn't like you, Dan, and it's kind of grumpy, and it tolerates you. That would be the psychic reading on my pet cat. I'll tell you that right now. Oh my goodness. Another angle on the Lamplighter Public House as we pass it. Heading back down, and again, these what were cobblestones that have been are now brick, and quite a beautiful, along with the brick buildings. Love it. Carnival season just started today there in Bonn. Oh, wonderful. We had a student from Bonn, a couple of students who have lived with us from Bonn, and we got the Carnival soundtrack on, somebody made a playlist on Spotify, and we would listen to it and learn all the songs that she'd sing along with for the for the Carnival. So I'm excited that's happening there. It's so good. I want to point out just across the street right now, there is a building with roses all over it, and that is the Fluevog building. And John Fluevog is it's a shoe store with some beautiful, unique shoes. Very famous place for shoes, and they do every few years they change that front area. It's been now the roses for a little while, but every couple of years they change it up, put a different display on there. But just a beautiful kind of art on the front of that building, and we'll maybe walk over and take a little look in the window of all the shoes here, because there's some really unique pieces. But Fluevog building is 3 stories high, but it's all open inside, so it's like vaulted ceilings. Let's head across here real quick. Is somebody excited? Tina's excited. We're going to look in Fluevog. We're going to look inside. Forgive me for a little bit of a cough. Got that autumn Canadian cough going. Yes, so we'll see if we can see in. They're not open. Oh, they are open right now. We can't go in, but we can definitely just do a little peek inside there. And the shoes, boots, and such, all on display. Quite a popular store to pop into and see all the shoes that are on display all of the time. You see those? Yeah. Some great picks. Always very stylish. Always very stylish they are. Of course, when you choose your shoes, you have to choose wisely, which I think is fantastic. Continue along. There's a lot of little shops as well, since we're looking at window shopping, with all sorts of Canadiana memorabilia. So if you're looking for some PJs for the upcoming season, we got you covered. And lots of bears and such. So there's a number of little shops like this all the way along that you'll find when you're in this area. Little shops, little art galleries, little places to eat like here. Again, just a great little, you know, if we're taking pictures, another just great shot there that captures the essence of Gastown, in my opinion. Just the streets, the beauty of the architecture, and just the vibe of the place. And of course, across the street, a record store, a waffle shop, and so many other little places. The old spaghetti factory, for those of you who may know the story. Old spaghetti factory, another one of the haunted places here in Vancouver. Still, old spaghetti factory still around. There's one here in Vancouver. There's another one that is over in Victoria as well. A great place to go in and enjoy the spaghetti. And it just fits here in Gastown. It just fits here in Gastown. So you can continue down. Now there's another famous building here at the end of the street, and you can just start to see it. It's another one of these flat iron buildings that is kind of at a corner, an intersection, so it's got that rounded look. We saw the first one right off the top with the Holland block landmark building. We saw down the street to the newly renovated Woolworths, well, old Woodward, but the renovated building has got it. And this one now too, with the building that's kind of on an intersection, right? It's in kind of a split, a Y, the split of the Y, and it kind of goes out from there. So this is another beautiful building. This whole area is actually, up until lately, has all been in construction. So this is the first time I've been back on a tour when this whole area here hasn't been a construction zone. So that's kind of neat. But famous spot, the Hotel Europe, perhaps one of the most recognizable buildings because of its shape. And let me just walk across the street quickly and get another vantage point on it. There we go. That's a good shot of it. There we are. Let me just stop for a moment as you take that in. This is this whole area is called the Maple Tree Square. The design for this hotel was heavily influenced by kind of more of a New York flat iron buildings, which had been completed, they had really only started popping up in 1902-ish, the early 1900s, late 1800s. It features a typical Edwardian design, this blonde brick facade with this classical style columns that are all over it, and really elegant glasswork just above the main floor on this structure. It's said to be one of the first buildings here one of the first buildings in this Vancouver area that was reinforced by a large concrete. It was one of the first. Sorry, structure is said to be one of the first reinforced concrete buildings in the city. It was originally designed for 8 stories, but it was only ended up being 6. Plus, it's got a sub-ground level. It served an extension to what at the time was a beer parlor on the main floor. It's also, bonus points, does anybody know what movies it's shown up in over the years? Because this one has shown up in a number of movies over the years, including one that highlighted one of the stars was Brad Pitt, who was in the movie. So I don't know if anybody knows, but I'll let that hang out there for a little while. We'll see if you know. Now, behind us, and again, love these buildings. These buildings I haven't been able to feature in past tours because of all the construction going on. But again, just beautiful with the blue sky behind and the clouds. Some great photo moments if you're doing screen captures here in Gastown. Beautiful place. And then in front of us, there's a bit of a hump on the ground here. I don't know if you can see that kind of area here is kind of elevated a little bit of a hump. Now, we started off our tour by talking about one of the guys who opened one of the first taverns in this area back in the 1860s, and that was a guy by the name of Glassy Jack, or John Dayton was his name. His nickname was Glassy Jack. And there was, right at the top of this kind of bump right here, there was a statue up until a couple of years ago that had Glassy Jack as one of the first founders of the pubs here on display as a statue. However, that was taken down a couple of years ago, and the reason it was actually pulled down, there were negotiations going on between the First Nations people of the community and the city, but there were people who weren't ready to wait for that whole process to take place. And so in February of 2022, it was actually pulled down. And it was pulled down after months earlier being covered in paint and such like that, red paint, because of the atrocities of people like Glassy Jack against a lot of the First Nations women in the area. He was originally married for some time, and then when his wife became ill, he arranged to marry his ill wife's niece, a 12-year-old daughter, and as a result, who was also First Nations. And so that really stirred up people lately and said, look, this is just not appropriate to be celebrating this guy who, it was glassy, not as in a gaslit, as in the gaslighting, as opposed to glass as in break the glass, yeah. And so it was torn down, and I think appropriately so. But it was up until that time a centerpiece in this area, this walking area. I do want to walk down one more alley before we wind things down. This is an area that's called Blood Alley. This was an area where there were a lot of butcher shops, and so it was the blood would often stream down the alleyways, and so this got the nickname of Legends of Fall, nickname of Blood Alley. It's now been redone with condos above it, little restaurants, and I apologize if I'm not answering some of the questions that are being asked. They go by very quickly here as a host. I only see them up for just a moment. It'll be something I'm looking at other apps to try to get better at that, but nice little area back here you can walk in, and again, this particular area has got quite a history as far as, yes, Marilyn, you can watch, I'll leave this up so you can go back and rewatch. I had some technical difficulties, which is thanks to those of you who joined me late, technical difficulties, just as I relearn how to do these tours on a new platform on YouTube. So anyway, there's some ghost stories that have to do with this place as well, but we'll track them down. There's just some individuals there in the alley that I don't want to interrupt, so I'll go around the long way and show you the last little bit where we're at here. Again, thanks so much for joining me today on this tour. It's been really exciting to bring you to, I'll just get this behind me. It's been really exciting to bring you to this, some of these local areas. They're so much fun. What's the oldest building in Gastown? Great question. I would say that the oldest buildings probably date back to the 1870s, late 1860s. I don't know which building, however. Let's be honest with you, I don't know which building is the oldest, but I'm going to find that out. And next time I do a little bit of a tour in this area when I'm over to Vancouver, I'll attempt to answer that question, because that's a great question. By the way, if you're enjoying today, you found value in it, and you want to go over to buymeacoffee.com /HeyDanKing, or if somebody wants to post my link tree, which is linktr.ee/HeyDanKing. You can definitely leave a tip, or even better, if you want to support my work monthly, you can do that as well. I think it's $10 a month or something like that, so it would be great to have that support. I also want to let you know that I am regularly back to dropping videos on my YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel after our live stream is done, maybe go and take a look and do that. By the way, you can also leave tips within YouTube here. I am monetized for tips, so you can leave a tip right here in YouTube if you would prefer to do it that way. Or you can go to my link tree, which will take you to buy me a coffee or PayPal or however you want to do it. I appreciate those. Obviously, free tour. You can do as you like, but that's there. I am dropping new videos on a regular basis. Last Monday, I dropped a video that was all about me on Vancouver Island looking for bears, and I found some black bears, and so you want to see that. It was quite the adventure. And thanks for the question, Tina, about am I still producing the TV shows. I'm done. 2 seasons have now been produced, and tomorrow, Monday, will be the drop of episode number 5, which is Vancouver Island from above in the Vancouver Island Explored series. And so I'll be going up in an airplane around Vancouver Island and checking that out and sharing it with you, as well as we'll be hanging out with some skydivers, and we'll be seeing some of the views from the skydivers as they jump over Vancouver Island. I'll also be up in a helicopter and we'll see some orca whales actually from the air with my friend in the helicopter. So that'll be a great episode. It's about 20 minutes long. It drops on Monday at 8 a.m. So you'll want to watch that on my channel as well. And then every Monday, I did not skydive. I have skydived in the past, but for this particular one, I didn't skydive. But the skydiving footage is unbelievable. We use GoPros and such, and we got some incredible skydiving footage for that particular episode. So that'll drop on Monday. It's going to be great. It's a great TV show, and so it's exciting. Again, thanks so much, guys. We'll take one last little walk through here into the Maple Leaf Square. Maple Garden Square, and take a little look around as we end our tour today. I will try to figure out all the pops and bumps so I don't have the problems with the vertical video again. There's a setting that I had to change that I missed. So beautiful, beautiful place. That's a great comment about Glassy Jack and marrying a 12-year-old girl. I think if you take a moment to do some search online, that will probably help out a lot. And yeah, the TV show videos will be dropping on my YouTube channel. So thanks for that, Dave and Peggy. I don't know if anybody dropped my Linktree link, /HeyDanKing, but you can definitely do that, and it'll allow you to leave a tip if you like. Those are always appreciated, always appreciated. Thanks so much for being with me, guys. Appreciate it so much. Again, super happy to be with you. I'm gonna call it a day, and we're gonna shut her down now, but it's been great. I'll leave this video up with some links, so those of you who are on the wrong link, which I'm so sorry about, can catch it. But we'll talk to you soon. This guy, what about this guy? Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.